The United States and Israel had a big meeting in the last 24 hours, and after that, we are now seeing that in the next 48 hours, there are emergency meetings taking place with Benjamin Netanyahu and also with the United States regarding where we're going to be going regarding Iran, their nuclear facilities, where we go from here with a potential deal. Now, I'm going to be sharing with you the latest video footage and articles, but we're hearing that the United States, Donald Trump, he is still pushing for a diplomatic solution and peace, but we are potentially at the end of that window of space to make a deal. And we're hearing that war could be the next step, very likely, and Israel is saying they are ready, and the United States at this time could be preparing for the potential of all-out war with Iran. Now, let me know your thoughts. I've been following this for you. We're going to continue to keep you up to date regardless of which direction it goes, but do you think that we are about to enter into war? If you think so, put yes in the comments. If you think no, put no. Let me know your thoughts, but I'm going to play for you the latest video footage, like I said, and read for you the latest articles coming out in the last 24 hours as of today, June 10th, 2025. Let's go ahead and take a look. Now, you can see here, this coming out from Reuters just yesterday. Trump says that he discussed Iran with Netanyahu. So that was that meeting we heard about yesterday. Now take a look at this coming out. Netanyahu set up to hold an Iranian security meeting after the call with Trump. We're hearing that there is emergency meetings taking place regarding the next potential steps with the United States, Israel, and Iran. Also, I shared with you a couple days ago that we had heard that Iran has now ordered materials from China that can make some 800 ballistic missiles. Israel said to reassure the United States that it won't strike Iran's nuclear facilities without first receiving the signal from Trump that the talks have failed. So Israel is on standby, waiting to make those attacks. They are saying we are war ready. Also, take a look here. Now, we've got more updates coming out. You can see gathered intel enables Iran to immediately counter Israeli attacks. Iranian counsel says. So Iran is saying, all right, we know Israel is ready to just push the button for attacks. And if they do, we are ready to strike Israel back immediately. Here's another one coming out. It says, a nuclear watchdog head. Iranians say Israeli strike may push the state to build a nuclear bomb. Now, we're hearing that Iran is saying that they are ready. We're hearing they are enriching uranium up to 60%. They only need to get to 90 to have nuclear warheads. And they're saying if Israel strikes us, this is justification as to why we need a nuclear weapon. Also, take a look at this just coming out. Russia is going to be constructing 8 nuclear power plants in Iran as well. Iran unifying with Russia, and you already saw they are getting materials for nuclear bombs or missiles from China as well. So we are seeing the adversaries of the United States unifying in their efforts, one with another. And take a look at this. Now, this just coming out in the past couple of hours today, June 10th, 2025, an update. Trump, in his meeting, it is now being leaked. It is said that Trump said to have told Benjamin Netanyahu that he wants him to end the war in Gaza. And he said at this very moment, right now, do not attack Iran. Attacking Iran is off limits for now. That just coming out today. But I'm going to share with you the video footage as he is saying it is not completely off the table. Just at this very moment, right now, if Israel is ready to attack, don't do it, because we are still trying to see if there is a way to come to some sort of agreement, some sort of nuclear peace treaty deal through peace, through diplomacy, not through war. But we're hearing that right now the two sides are not coming together at all. The United States is saying we cannot live in a world where Iran has a nuclear weapon and they have enriched the uranium to the point of 90% to a nuclear bomb. Iran is saying there is no deal. We will continue to enrich. We do not care what the United States has to say about it at all. So the two sides not seeing eye to eye in either way. Man, let me know your thoughts again. Are we going to be going to war? If you think so, put yes. If you think no, put no. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, there is a ton of video footage that's been coming out. I'm going to play it for you so you can see it for yourself, see what Donald Trump had to say, see where we're going here with the negotiations, the concerns, and we're going to be hearing here from 4-star generals, from these news reports from Donald Trump saying we cannot live in a world where Iran has a nuclear weapon, because Iran has called the United States the big Satan, Israel the little Satan, death to the U.S., death to Israel. They're saying this cannot happen. We must stop this one way or another. So I'm going to play for you the video footage. Also, all the articles that I'm referencing, I'm going to put them on the screen, read right from them. They're hyperlinked in the description. I cite all the sources, try to hold myself to the highest level of accountability so that way you can know and rest assured this is the latest information coming out as of today, June 10th, 2025. And if you appreciate that, do me a favor. Before we dive right in, and I'm seeing those yeses pouring in, man, as you are putting those yeses that you think that we're going to be going to war here with Iran very soon, also do me a favor, hit that like button. Just clicking that thumbs up very quickly, that simple gesture helps out the channel a ton, helps spread this out further across the YouTube platform while we are live. I appreciate it. And if this is your first time here and you want to stay up to date on everything that's going on right now with the conflicts between Israel and Iran, the involvement of the United States, also Russia, Ukraine, the things going on with China, there is a lot taking place. Hit that subscribe button. It's totally free. Why not? I'll keep you up to speed on everything. And right now I'm pretty much doing daily updates, sometimes multiple times a day, because there is a lot going on in the world. I will keep you up to date. So we're going to dive into this now. Also, in addition to that, we are seeing the impacts of all of this in our economy as well. Let me know if you've noticed the inflation, the cost of goods and services increasing significantly. Well, before we dive into the video footage, I also wanted to mention that if you're feeling it, costs are rising. Everything is going up, from gas, groceries, home repairs. And if you are a homeowner, you might have thought to yourself, maybe I should call American Financing to refinance and pay off some of my credit card debt. And if you second guess yourself because of the low mortgage rates that you currently have, well, listen, that low rate, it's not saving you if you're drowning in credit card interest at 25% or more. That's the math that no one wants to face, but it's costing you thousands. So here's the truth. If you're only making minimum payments, that debt will follow you for years. That's why people are calling American Financing, because they're saving customers an average of $800 a month by using their equity to finally break free from their credit card debt. Now you can see it on the screen here. You can see the number, the QR code, the website. See if they can help you out. If you owe it to your family to see what's possible. There are no upfront fees, no pressure. It costs you nothing to find out what you could save every single month by giving them a call. So if you start today, you may be able to delay 2 mortgage payments. Call American Financing today at 866-890-7706. That's 866-890-7706. AmericanFinancing.net/Steve Ram. Thank you for making that available for those that are interested. I hope that that is a blessing to you. Give them a call, American Financing, today. But with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into the video footage. I'm going to get you caught up on the latest as to where things currently stand. Let's take a look at this video footage coming out on Trump's message to Iran on the nuclear deals. Let's go ahead and take a look.
What do you make of the Ayatollah saying that they have to enrich, they have to be able to...
Well, they won't be enriching. If they enrich, then we're going to have to do it the other way, and I don't really want to do it the other way, but we're going to have to do it.
What's your latest?
There's not going to be enrichment.
President Trump is standing firm. He insists any nuclear deal with Iran would not let it enrich uranium, while also hinting the U.S. could use military action if Tehran continues enriching that nuclear fuel. Joining us now is retired General Jack Keane, a Fox News strategic analyst. Great to have you here. Axios also said the same. Israel has been assured by the U.S. it won't strike Iran unless talks fail. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Israel has told the U.S. it won't strike unless talks fail. But the president's been very clear on this, that the Iranians will not be allowed to enrich uranium. So I know that there are people in the media, maybe people in the region, that want to have daylight between the United States and Israel. So far, I feel like President Trump is doing a good job keeping that pretty cohesive. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I think, kind of where we are and setting the table here, what are the Iranians really up to? They want to drag these negotiations out as much as they can. They were very successful with the Obama administration. Negotiations began in 2013. 2 years it took before they had a deal. And by the way, the Obama administration gave up all of their ingoing positions. Enriching uranium, dismantling a nuclear program, gave that up. Ballistic missiles, gave that up, and gave up also state sponsor of terrorism and malign behavior in the region. Gave up all of it. What the Ayatollah and his negotiators are up to here, they're trying to recover their air defense systems, Dana. that the Israelis took down in their last attack rather significantly in October. And they have recovered some of it. The longer they drag these negotiations out, the better it will be for them. And I think where the Ayatollah is, the guy who runs the regime, where he is in his head, is he's not going to let the United States dismantle his nuclear enterprise. And he's willing to accept an attack and thinks he can survive it and then rebuild his nuclear program at some point. I think that's where he is in his head. And he's dragging it out so he can recover his air defense systems.
Do you think he could survive that?
We cannot completely destroy the entire nuclear enterprise. We can delay it for a certain period of time, a year or two, but we would have to stay focused on it. And if they attempt to rebuild it and recover it, the Israelis would likely strike it again. That's kind of where we are. That's well known within military channels and certainly within the IDF and Israel's government, and I think it's well known within the Iranian government as well.
Right, they know it too.
The president is committed to this. They're not going to have a nuclear weapon, and he's unequivocal about it, and he knows full well if you give them enrichment at any level, they can weaponize that in a matter of weeks to get to enrichment grade for a nuclear weapon. That we've seen already happen.
And so let's stay on this topic for the remaining time that we have. At this point, how much time then do you think the Trump administration, should allow for these talks to continue if Iran is just playing for time?
Well, I turn that over to the president and his negotiators. They're involved in this. They have the tenor of it. They see what's going on with the opposing negotiators from Iran, who, by the way, who are very experienced. And they got a better feel on when to pull the switch on this and say, okay, we're done here. We're not making any progress with these guys. I leave that up to them to make that decision. I don't think we can sit on the sidelines and make that judgment.
Understood. All right, General Jack Keane, thank you so much for your insights this morning.
There you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. You heard him say that Trump said that they cannot have a nuclear weapon, but I'm seeing people in the comments right now saying, don't kid yourself, Steve. They already have a nuclear weapon right now. Do you think that? Do you think that Iran already has nuclear weapons? If you think so, put yes. If you think no, put no. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, you heard Jack Keane say that they are at 60%, and they literally just need about 2 weeks to get to 90%, that maybe they're holding off so that way they can actually say that they don't have it. But they're saying they're preparing for the potential that we could be going into war here very soon. Now, I'm going to play for you a clip you're going to see in just a second where they're saying we are not months away or weeks away. There is going to be a decision coming here very soon. We potentially could be days away from hearing that we are ready for attacks against Iran, preparing for all-out war, because right now the two sides are not seeing eye to eye whatsoever. And like I said, in the last 24 hours, yesterday, we saw Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu had a phone call meeting discussing this, and it is now being leaked out, the discussions that were taking place. And yes, we are hearing that he is saying, end the war in Gaza to Netanyahu. Trump is saying this, and he's also saying in regards to Iran, don't attack them yet. Not quite yet. If you are ready to attack today, June 10th, 2025, hold off for just a second. We're going to just give it a couple more days here. Let me share with you the latest so that way you can see exactly what is going on. So take a look. This coming out in the last 24 hours. Trump says that he discussed Iran with Netanyahu. This article from Reuters says U.S. President Donald Trump said Tehran was a tough negotiator as talks continue for a nuclear deal, and said he discussed Iran among other topics with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday. We're doing a lot of work on Iran right now, Trump said at an economic event at the White House. It's tough. They're great negotiators. Netanyahu said he spoke with Trump, and the president told him talks would continue at the end of the week, a statement from the Israeli Prime Minister's office said. So there you have it, you guys. We are receiving word that their talks are underway. Now, take a look at this. After the meeting with Trump and Netanyahu yesterday, now Netanyahu set to hold Iran's security meeting after a call with Donald Trump. This coming out from Euro News. Now, it says Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will hold a security meeting on Wednesday, so that is tomorrow, in the next 24 hours, following his phone call with U.S. President Donald Trump. So let me know your thoughts. Is Israel getting things ready to prepare for attacks? if we do not have a diplomatic solution here very soon. Israeli media says the call between Trump and Netanyahu lasted around 40 minutes, with the pair discussing a wide range of topics, from the war on Gaza to developments in the Iran nuclear deal. Asked about his call with Netanyahu, Trump didn't offer much details, but insisted that the call with Israeli Prime Minister went well. Very well. Yeah, we discussed a lot of things, and it went very well, very smooth. We'll see what happens. You know, we're trying to do something with the country we just spoke about, Iran, Trump said. Trump, however, revealed that negotiations appear to be stagnant due to the Iranians being good negotiators. He also again warned that a violent U.S. approach to Tehran is not off the table. And so that is what we are hearing, and that is what a lot of people are feeling is the direction we are going right now. And we are seeing Israel doing this emergency meeting in the next 24 hours. It is this part right here. He has warned that a violent U.S. approach to Tehran or Iran is not off the table. We could be going the route of all-out war. Sometimes they can be tough too. That's the problem. So we are trying to make a deal so that there's no destruction and death. And we've told them that. And I've told them that. And I hope that that's the way it works out. But it might not work out that way. Joining the security meeting with Netanyahu, according to Israeli media, our Defense Minister Israel Katz, Shas Party Chairman Aryeh Deri, and the Strategic Affairs Minister Ron Dermer. Far-right figures who will also reportedly be taking part in the meetings, including the National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir and Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich. Ben-Gvir and Smotrich are not typically included in such high-level meetings. Now, the meetings come as Tehran is expected to respond to Washington's proposal for a nuclear deal. The Iranian response is expected to arrive in the form of a counter to the U.S. proposal. So the United States has made a proposal for a ceasefire agreement. They said there should not be the enrichment of any uranium. Iran said, you will not tell us what to do, and they are going to have a counter offer to that proposal. Now, it says the Iranian response is expected to arrive in the form of a counter to the U.S. proposal. Washington has reportedly proposed to allow Tehran to continue enriching uranium, but at low levels for a limited period of time. This will then be halted when a consortium is established for the enrichment of uranium for Iran and other countries outside of the Iranian territory. Now, Tehran is expected to reject this proposal, with rumors emerging that Iranian officials will not accept a deal in which they are told what to do on their own territory. So Iran is saying they will have no part of it. Man, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, in addition to that, as I mentioned, we're hearing that not only are they denying the U.S.'s proposal, they are also moving forward with getting the materials needed to create missiles and nuclear weapons and replace what was destroyed in the last Israeli attack. Now, take a look. This came out a couple days ago. I shared this with you. As soon as it had come out, Iran orders materials from China that can make some 800 ballistic missiles, according to reports. But take a look. Israel has said they are reassuring the United States that they will not strike Iran's nuclear facilities without first receiving the signal, the go-ahead, from Donald Trump if their talks have failed. So it looks like we are heading in the direction of potential war here, and it looks like Israel is preparing. Now, let's take a look at some more video footage that has just come out in the last 24 hours. And the title of this, from Morning with Maria with Fox Business, is Iran is crazy enough to use a nuclear weapon. And that is why they're saying we cannot live in a world where Iran has a nuclear weapon. Let's go ahead and take a look at this video footage so you can see it for yourself.
We discussed a lot of things, and it went very well, very smooth. We'll see what happens. You know, we're trying to do something with a country we just spoke about, Iran. They are good negotiators, but they're tough. Sometimes they can be too tough. That's the problem. So we're trying to make a deal so that there's no destruction and death. We have a meeting with Iran on Thursday, so we're going to wait till Thursday. They don't want to give up what they have to give up. You know what that is. They seek enrichment. We can't have enrichment. We want just the opposite. And so far, they're not there.
That's President Trump on yesterday's phone call with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, where Iran was the main focus, the president maintaining his position that Tehran cannot obtain a nuclear weapon. Both also talking about the war in Gaza, Israel accepting the proposed ceasefire deal, though Hamas claims it wants changes. Joining me now is U.S. Ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee. Ambassador, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. What is your assessment of this ceasefire arrangement, and do you think anything will ever get done?
We sure hope so. You know, I've been wearing this yellow pin on my lapel since I've arrived. It's a hostage pin. I want to take it off, Maria. I want to take it off and throw it away and never see it again. But I can't do that until every hostage is home. So right now I'm still wearing it. And it's all because Hamas has refused to do anything that's reasonable. The president's been very clear. Hamas can't stay. They can't govern. They've got to leave. They've got to let the hostages go. And they pretend that they want to do that, but they don't, and they never move. And that's where we are. Hamas has to make concessions or this doesn't change.
Tell me about your time there, Ambassador, and what your priorities are today.
Well, certainly getting the hostages back is number one. Also, trying to seek some type of resolution with Iran. The president has been all over that. He would love to do it diplomatically. It would be better if it could be done. But the Iranians, they pretend that they just want this for peaceful purposes, but they want to enrich it to a level that would give them the capacity for a weapon. Nobody wants Iran to have a weapon. Nobody in Europe, nobody in the Middle East, nobody who is really using their full brain wants them to have it at all, because they're just crazy enough to use it. So the fact is, it's not just Iran, but it's all their proxies. Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, all proxies of Iran. All of the bad things that are going on in the Middle East, most everything comes out of the kitchen marked Tehran. Almost every night since I've arrived, it's certainly every other day, we go to the shelters because the sirens go off. The Houthis are firing missiles into Israel. We have 90 seconds to get to the shelters. That's postmarked Iran. So even though it may be delivered by the Houthis, it's the engineering and it's the efforts of the Iranians that are sending those ballistic missiles into Israel almost every single day.
So, Ambassador, you're there in Israel right now. What does it feel like on the ground, sir? Because, for so long, we've been talking about Israel being so special because of its people and innovation. I mean, you've got men and women going into the military from a young age, learning, learning discipline, learning unity. And as a result, innovation has been born. And I wonder if now all those people are in the reserve, right? They're reservists. I mean, I wonder what's happening with the economy there in the middle of this horror. What can you tell us about Israel and what you're feeling on the ground there now that you're there?
Remarkably, their economy has remained strong even in spite of the war that they've been engaged with Gaza and the threats from Iran. Maria, I've never seen people like this that are so resilient. They're used to hearing the sirens, going to the shelters. They're used to knowing that every day they wake up, someone's trying to kill them, but they don't let it get them down. Most Americans would probably be curled up in a fetal position, yelling, screaming, and pushing their way to the shelter to get there first. You don't see that here. What you see is people who are resolved. Golda Meir said it best back in 1973. Somebody asked her, how do you win wars you shouldn't be winning? And she said, because we have nowhere else to go. And that kind of sums up the attitude here. The innovations of this country are remarkable. Their defense mechanisms are incredible, but they have to be, because they don't have 15 minutes or 2 hours to prepare for something coming their way. They have somewhere between 60 seconds and 2 minutes tops to be ready to face the incoming missile. So it's an interesting country. I know people think, is it dangerous there? Honestly, I don't feel endangered. I do have to run to the shelter regularly. That's part of it. But you look at it as a way of life. And in the meantime, the Israelis go about their business. They raise their children. They continue to go to ball games and they go to concerts, and they refuse to let their enemies take their life away from them.
So you've got to go to the shelter regularly. What is that like, Ambassador?
Well, whether it's at the embassy or at the residence, the siren goes off and you know that at that moment, you've got 90 seconds, and that means you get to the basement. It's happened at the embassy. We had to hurl all of our embassy employees into the shelter here. It's happened at my residence numerous times.
Yeah.
I was at the headquarters of the Mossad late one night with the director of the Mossad, and the alarm went off, and we had to go to the basement of Mossad. So nobody's immune from it. It happens everywhere, and it happens virtually every single day.
Wow, unbelievable.
We just got.
Wow, there you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, you heard that this is going on while there are talks happening between Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. And right now, Israel, they're saying, is preparing for attacks. They're ready. They've got shelters ready. They live in a state of readiness for war. And actually, we're hearing that they're preparing right now. And we're hearing that that is why Iran is saying they believe that Israel is ready to attack them, and Iran is preparing for that attack. And as I mentioned to you, we're hearing that they are actually purchasing missiles from China, the materials necessary at this time. Now, this was a couple days ago. You can see this was June 6th. So about 4 days ago, Iran orders materials from China that can make some 800 ballistic missiles, according to reports. And take a look at this coming out in the last 24 hours. Gathered intel enables Iran to immediately counter Israeli attacks, Iranian counsel says in a report. In a statement, the council warned that any future Israeli strike on Iranian nuclear facilities would be met with retaliation targeting Israeli nuclear sites using the intelligence that they have gathered. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. You can see this is coming out in the last 24 hours as they're saying they are ready for strikes. So this is going the direction of intensifying, escalating, not de-escalating. So for those of you that were putting yes in the comments to war, it looks like right now at this moment, you could be thinking right. Iran's Supreme National Security Council warned on Monday, yesterday, that any future Israeli strike on Iranian nuclear facilities would be met with retaliation targeting Israeli nuclear sites using the intelligence that it gathered, Iran's Mehr news agency reported on Monday. The council said that its intelligence services had obtained a vast quantity of strategic and sensitive information and documents about Israel's nuclear sites. Access to this information and the completion of the information and operational cycle have enabled the Warriors of Islam, the Iranian armed forces, to immediately counter any potential attack by the Zionist regime on the country's nuclear facilities by attacking its secret nuclear facilities, the statement had said. The council also warned that any act of evil against Iran's economic or military infrastructure would receive a precise and proportionate response. Iran reportedly obtained Israeli intelligence info. This statement follows reports from Iranian-affiliated media on Saturday that Iran obtained Israeli intelligence materials, including sensitive documents related to Israel's nuclear capabilities. So again, this is all surrounding nuclear weapons, nuclear facilities, enrichment. So a lot of concerns about where we could be heading here with this war and conflict. According to the reports, the materials allegedly included thousands of documents related to the regime's nuclear plans and facilities. The documents were transferred from within Israel to Iranian territory, Hezbollah affiliates Al-Mayadeen remarked. Although the operation occurred some time ago, sources informed Iran's Tasnim news agency that the large volume of documents means reviewing and analyzing images and videos has required considerable time. So there you have it, you guys. We are hearing that they are preparing for a counterattack if there is an attack that takes place. And we're hearing these discussions. They are taking place right now. Now, like I said, there is a lot coming out on this. There's more video footage I want to share with you that has just come out. Let's take a look at this as we are hearing we are target one. This is General Keane. He's warning that he has never seen anything like this right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at this video footage coming out just in the past few hours today so you can see it for yourself.
We have a meeting with Iran on Thursday, so we're going to wait till Thursday.
And what's the main impediment to getting a deal?
Well, they're just asking for things that you can't do. They don't want to give up what they have to give up. You can't have enrichment. We want just the opposite. And so far, they're not there. I hate to say that because the alternative is a very, very dire one, but they're not there. They have given us their thoughts on the deal, and I said, it's just not acceptable.
President Trump there saying that he will resume nuclear talks with Iran this week, reaffirming the regime cannot enrich uranium and ultimately get a nuclear bomb. This after the United Nations nuclear watchdog says that it cannot independently verify whether Tehran's nuclear program is, quote, entirely peaceful. The president also spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on the phone over the weekend on a wide range of topics, including Iran. Watch.
Hi, Mr. Wonderful here. You know, I don't waste time, and I definitely don't waste money. I joined Start Engine.
Your phone call go with Prime Minister Netanyahu? You just mentioned Iran. Did you discuss Iran?
Very
Did you
well.
discuss
the
the Gaza war?
Yeah, we discussed a lot of things, and it went very well, very smooth. We'll see what happens. We just spoke about Iran. I think you should negotiate this. You might be better. This could have been the idea of the day. We'll have Dara get up and negotiate. They are good negotiators, but they're tough. Sometimes they can be too tough. That's the problem. So we're trying to make a deal so that there's no destruction and death. And we've told them that, and I've told them that, and I hope that's the way it works out. But
Joining me now is Fox News senior strategic analyst. He is chairman of the Institute for the Study of War, General Jack Keane, back with us. General, great to see you. Your reaction to these Iran talks and what you think is how this plays out?
Yeah, well, certainly the president is very forthcoming about what's taking place with these talks, and it's not surprising that Iran's negotiators speaking for the Ayatollah are playing hardball here. I mean, a couple of things is motivating Iran. They want to delay these negotiations and drag them out as much as possible. To get the JCPOA deal, the so-called nuclear deal with the Obama administration, they were in negotiations for almost 2 years. And Obama went in there with the same proposals we have: dismantle your nuclear program, take it down, stop your aggressive behavior in the region, stop sponsoring terrorism, and also stop your ballistic missile program and destroy the missiles that could deliver. That was their going in conditions. They gave up on all of those conditions after several months of tough negotiations by Iran and produced a deal that was fundamentally flawed, and President Trump got out of it in 2018. These are the same negotiators that we're dealing with now, and that's what they're trying to achieve: drag this out. Why does the Ayatollah want to drag it out? Because Israel destroyed so much of their air defense systems. They are trying to recover those air defense systems as quickly as possible. I think in his own mind, Maria, where the Ayatollah is a supreme leader, and he takes a much harder stand than the people who are actually negotiating for him, I think where he is, he's not going to dismantle his nuclear enterprise. He will not do that. And that's our major condition. And that means what? That means he's willing to accept an airstrike, and he thinks he can recover some of that airstrike if he can get those air defense systems in there and be able to build on what is left from that and still acquire a nuclear weapon at some future date. Wow. I kind of suspect that that's kind of where he is. Yeah. Which is quite significant if that's where, the stand he's taking.
Yeah,
so
quite
I think the president talking to Netanyahu was they probably had a very rich discussion about where the president is in the negotiations, and also they likely discussed the alternative. If Iran is not going to come around, and what would be the timing of that, and what they intend to do together or separately.
And the president has been alluding to such a threat, right, for a long time now, So we'll have to see how this plays out. But it looks like the big event is yet to come. Meanwhile, let me get.
There you have it, you guys. So she said it looks like the big event is yet to come, and they are very likely discussing the alternative if we are not allowed to get to some sort of diplomatic solution here. If there is not an agreement reached, where are we going to be going from here? And he also said, and let me know if you agree with this, that he believes that Iran is dragging this out, that they're stalling, and that while they're stalling, they're rebuilding their defenses. They're trying to get time so that way they can make up for all of the air defenses that were destroyed in the last attack from Israel, and that they really don't want to come to some sort of diplomatic solution. They're just stalling to rebuild their defenses. Do you think that's what's going on? Do you think Iran is stalling? We heard Donald Trump say that they are good negotiators and they're having a difficult time with them. If you think that's what's going on, put yes in the comments. If you think no, put no. And also, if you haven't done so yet, take a second and hit that like button for me. Help spread this out further But right now, we're hearing that there is potentially strategic plays being done here to stall for time, and that they could be just preparing for the next attacks. And as you heard him say yesterday, Benjamin Netanyahu and Trump had that meeting, and now we're hearing that tomorrow, Wednesday, there is going to be an emergency meeting in Israel, likely discussing the next steps of what's going to be unfolding with Iran. And then Thursday, the United States is supposed to be having another meeting with Iran as well. So things are intensifying right now around the nuclear deals and what is going on with Iran and their nuclear facilities. And we are hearing that things are escalating, and that is why we had heard that they are preparing for a counterattack, that if Israel does strike Iran, Iran is saying that they will be ready for an additional attack. Now, in addition to that, Iran, as I mentioned, they have reached out to China and now also Russia. Take a look at this. Russia to construct 8 nuclear power plants in Iran. Iranian state media claim that at least 4 of the new power plants would be in Bushehr, where Russia helped Iran construct their first nuclear reactor. Now you can see this article coming out in the last 24 hours says Russia signed an agreement to construct 8 nuclear power plants in Iran, including 4 in Bushehr, according to a report on Monday yesterday by Iran's state media IRNA, which cited the head of the Atomic Energy Organization of Iran. Now in April, Iranian oil minister Mohsen Paknejad said that Russia would fund the construction of a nuclear plant in Iran. The two countries will undertake the construction of new nuclear energy facilities and the completion of phases 2 and 3 of the Bushehr plants using Moscow's credit line, he had said. So we are seeing the adversaries of the United States working together to push their agendas. Russia has helped Iran build its first nuclear reactor at Bushehr in the south of the country. International Atomic Energy Agency Director General Rafael Grossi said that Iran is his biggest preoccupation when discussing nuclear-powered countries in a Friday interview with the Financial Times. Could an Israeli strike on Iranian nuclear facilities backfire? Iranians told Rafael Grossi that if Israel strikes its nuclear facilities, this could push them over the edge and that they will try to create nuclear weapons, Grossi said on Monday in an exclusive interview with the Jerusalem Post. So they are saying that this would be justification for them moving towards nuclear weapons. Now, also, we've had articles coming out on that as well. We're hearing that, take a look. Nuclear watchdog head Iranians say that Israeli strikes may push the state to build nuclear weapons. So that is, they are preparing for retaliation and they are preparing for nuclear weapons, saying this would be a justification for them to move forward with that. Iran has enough uranium to produce 10 nukes. However, Grossi added that more time might be required before Iran is able to develop something with the actual effect of a nuclear weapon. This also coming out in the last 24 hours, Iranians told IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi that if Israel strikes its nuclear facilities, this could push them over the edge and that they will try to create nuclear weapons, Grossi said on Monday in an exclusive interview with the Jerusalem Post. So for those of you that are thinking that this is the direction it's going to go, right now we're hearing Iran is already making the justifications for why they need nuclear weapons. As we are hearing, Israel is saying they are ready to attack. A strike could potentially have an amalgamating effect, solidifying Iran's determination, I will say it plainly, to pursue a nuclear weapon or withdraw from the Treaty of the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, Grossi said. Now, I'm telling you this because they have told me so directly, he added. This is a typical Iranian refrain that could easily be dismissed as psychological warfare. However, hearing it directly from the world's #1 nuclear inspector, who has met with 3 Iranian presidents and many other top Iranian officials, it's sobering. Further, while several Israeli officials have assured the Post that Israel can strike Iran's nuclear facilities, Grossi openly expressed doubt about this possibility. Discussing what Israel might do if no nuclear deal is reached in the foreseeable future, Grossi said, what member states decide to do is their prerogative. I don't advise the Israeli government. They will decide what is best. But one thing is certain, he continued, the program runs wide and deep. And when I say deep, I mean it. Many of the facilities are extremely well protected. Disrupting them would require overwhelming and devastating force. By deep, Grassi was referring to the claims that made by many that the military experts with Israel that lacking the Americans' 30,000-pound mega bunker buster, or the MOAB, the mother of all bombs, does not have the capability of destroying Iran's nuclear facilities under the mountain at Fordow and the new one being built beneath a mountain at Natanz. So they are saying that even with the MOAB, the mother of all bombs, they do not have the capabilities of fully wiping out Iran's nuclear facilities underground. Now, unprecedented dialogue on the possibility of an Israeli military strike. Grassi's willingness to engage in a dialogue about the possibility of an Israeli military strike, specifically regarding its feasibility and potential consequences, is also unprecedented. He has been asked many times over the years about the possibility of Israel attacking Iran's nuclear sites, and he has always explicitly opposed such an idea, saying that time must be given to diplomacy to resolve the standoff. Grassi's readiness to analyze the possibility of a strike as a real, potentially near-future option demonstrates just how much the discourse surrounding this issue has changed following Israel's successful elimination of all of Iran's S-300 advanced aircraft missile systems on October 24th of 2024. Of course, the whole conversation originates from the significantly escalated nuclear threat level from Iran. It is one thing to see reports from the IAEA about how close the Islamic Republic is to obtaining several atomic bombs. It is an entirely different one to hear directly from Grassi himself that Tehran has enriched sufficient uranium to produce 10 nuclear weapons, should it decide to finish the other nuclear weapons group task, such as resolving special detonation issues. They have been accumulating enriched uranium at a very, very high level of enrichment, which is 60%. Grassi said. To have a functioning nuclear device, you need 90% enrichment, he continued. So, as you can see, there is a very narrow gap between what they already have and weapons-grade material. So they're saying it would just take roughly about a week or two for them to get to where they need to have 10 nuclear weapons. However, Grassi is eager to clarify an important point. The fact that Iran possesses enough enriched material to produce about 10 bombs, according to last week's IAEA report, does not mean that it can assemble or use a nuclear weapon. This is a big but, especially when speaking to an Israeli audience. None of this means that they have a bomb. There are numerous activities, technologies, and developments still needed to turn this material into something that can actually function as a weapon. Grassi added that more time might be required before Iran is able to develop something with the actual effect of a nuclear weapon. Israeli and U.S. intelligence, as well as top nuclear experts, have told the Post that the timeline Iran needs to resolve other issues related to using atomic weapons could take anywhere between several months to even a year from now. So they're saying this actually could be quite a ways off. Grassi, who was appointed to lead the IAEA agency in December of 2019, has had one primary focus since taking office. Just like his predecessors, Iran's nuclear program, though the Ukraine nuclear crisis has taken up much of his time as well. He assumed the role around 18 months after the U.S. President Donald Trump announced the U.S. would withdraw from the JCPOA Iran nuclear deal. But only a few months after, Tehran began to openly violate that agreement, enriching uranium to newly higher levels. Since then, Grassi said that he has had to work hard to persuade the Iranians to continue cooperating with the agency. In recent years, I have met with the Iranian president, and I've told them that they should let us do our work so that we can dispel all doubts. They assure me very eloquently that they have nothing to hide. Well, if that's true, then they should allow us to access what we need to do our job properly, Grassi said. Since 2021, Iran has restricted the IAEA's ability to monitor its nuclear sites, and since 2022, it has expelled certain nuclear inspectors. Grassi admitted that there was a discrepancy between the agency's knowledge and what was happening on the ground. We have a knowledge gap because when Iran stopped giving the IAEA access to several sites, facilities, and activities, we lost visibility, he said. But the activities did not stop. So a lot has happened in the past 2 years. Still, Grassi emphasized that the agency retains a certain degree of oversight at key sites, such as uranium enrichment facilities, and inspectors can track how much uranium Iran is enriching. We know exactly how much they are enriching, and we regularly inspect these facilities. Where does the problem lie? It lies in the fact that all of this depends on the capacity to produce the necessary centrifuge for uranium enrichment, Grassi said. And in recent years, Iran has developed highly advanced centrifuges far more sophisticated than those covered by the original JCPOA, he added. Last week, Grassi submitted a particularly severe report to the agency, summarizing that Iran's nuclear program has not paused and that there are serious concerns about the findings the agency has uncovered in Iran. We discovered traces of enriched uranium in places where they shouldn't have been any nuclear activity at all. So my question is simple. It's not an accusation, just a logical question. If we found those traces, what was happening there? Where is the uranium that left those traces? Show us. Explain it. We will always find out, he continued. You can build whatever you'd like, but with just one swipe, we'll know exactly what is happening, even if it happened 25 years ago. When asked whether Iran had responded to these findings, Grassi replied, "We've received some answers, but they have not been satisfactory." Wow. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think that Iran already has nuclear weapons, that they have secret things going on behind the scenes, as is being suggested here? If you think so, put yes. If you think no, put no. But they're saying, and I heard a lot of people say this in the comments, that they probably already have the abilities at this time. I trust everyone, but I need to verify everything, he said. Sometimes people understandably ask me, how can you talk of these people? How can you engage with them, shake hands and smile? First of all, I'm a diplomat, he said. I have to talk with them. If I don't, what am I supposed to do? When asked by the Post about Israel's criticism for the agency and being naive in its dealing with Iran, Grassi responded, if there's one thing that we are not, it's naive. We know exactly what we're doing. We are not in the business of sweeping things under the rug. For us, transparency is crucial. We must get to the bottom of things. Currently, the U.S. and Iran are engaged in efforts to negotiate a nuclear agreement. The gaps between the two sides appear wider than ever. While Trump insists there will be no deal unless Iran gives up its uranium enrichment capabilities, Iran's supreme leader, he has said he has made it clear that Iran will never relinquish its right to enrich uranium. Despite the rhetoric and vast differences, Grassi believes an agreement is still possible. I think we need to find a convergence point between the Americans and the Iranians on the issue of enrichment. The JCPOA is obsolete. It has been overtaken by the evolution of Iran's nuclear program. This is a different Iran. 10 years have passed, a decade, he said. Grassi continued, I see a lot of merit in President Trump's outreach to Iran, saying, listen, we need to sit down and address this issue. Otherwise, this might escalate into another military conflict, which we're hearing is the direction this could be going. My impression, and I say this cautiously because I don't want to intrude on the negotiators' territory, is that it is not impossible to find common grounds. Grassi said that the negotiations were being conducted between Trump's special envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, and Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, but insisted that any agreement must include strict oversight by the IAEA. There are new technologies, more facilities, and more development. Without the ability to fill the current knowledge gap, how can I, as the Director General of the IAEA, sign off on a document guaranteeing what Iran has or does not have? I cannot be expected to offer credible assurance, he said. Grassi added that if the two sides were to reach an agreement, he was certain that there would come a time when the IAEA must no longer remain behind the scenes, but sit directly at the table. Wherever I go, I hear the same thing. Iran must not have a nuclear weapon, he added. Grassi's overall message is that there is an international consensus. The Iranians know this too. And there's also a dominoes effect to consider. If Iran acquires a nuclear weapon, this will have consequences for the entire region and beyond. Man, there you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. We are hearing things are getting intense. Now, in addition to that, let's take a look at some video footage. Now, this came out about 2 weeks ago, though, from Kristi Noem, and she's going to be talking about what is going on with the Iranian nuclear deal, and she is saying, There needs to be some answers, and right now. She said we cannot have this drag out for a long period of time. You're going to see it. And that there needs to be either an agreement or there needs to be a tax. There needs to be something done. And again, let me know your thoughts. Are we going in the direction of war? We're hearing that right now. There are meetings that are taking place that could be indicating that the United States is preparing for war with Iran. Israel and the United States are in meetings right now this week. We saw Benjamin Netanyahu and Trump in a meeting yesterday. Israel is going to be having its own secret meeting tomorrow. And then Thursday, the United States will be meeting with Iran again. So things are getting intense this week right now as of June 10th, 2025. Let me know your thoughts. Are we about to go to war? If you think so, put yes. If you think no, put no. Let's take a look at this video footage so you can hear what it was that she had to say.
So this morning, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem is in Israel honoring the 2 Israeli embassy staffers fatally shot by a suspect screaming "Free Palestine," days before they were set to get engaged.
DHS Secretary Kristi Noem just met with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. She joins us now from Tel Aviv. So great to see you this morning, Madam Secretary. So tell us about your meeting with Bibi Netanyahu.
Well, I landed here in Israel late last night, went immediately to the Western Wall. As you know, this is a time of celebration in Israel. And also then after that, around 10 o'clock last night, went and met with Bibi, with the Prime Minister, and had a conversation about President Trump's negotiations with Iran, and had a conversation with him. President Trump specifically sent me here to have a conversation with the Prime Minister about how those negotiations are going and how important it is that we stay united and let this process play out. It was a very candid conversation. I've known the Prime Minister for many years and had many good conversations with him, but this was one directly from the President, and I think the Prime Minister greatly appreciated it. We spent today also out on the Gaza border talking with some of the IDF soldiers and visiting with them with our great ambassador that we have here, Ambassador Huckabee, and since it's Memorial Day, we also spent some time with our Coast Guard troops. We have many Coast Guard folks in the region that we've been able to visit and talk to them and thank them for their service.
When you say that you had a candid conversation, what can you kind of lay out the outlines of what was candid?
You know, I'm not going to share what the President's personal message was to the Prime Minister, but the Prime Minister's team had a conversation afterwards with us that they don't remember a bilateral meeting that was quite that candid and direct, and about how we really felt about the importance of Israel, our support for Israel, but that this negotiation was critically important too. We're on a short time frame here as well. We aren't talking weeks and months and years before President Trump will make a decision on what's going to happen with Iran. They've been given a very short time frame, a matter of days, and I asked the Prime Minister to work with President Trump to make sure that we were making wise decisions together. Listen, this Hamas is a dangerous enemy that calls for Israel's death and for America's death every day. They have no place in this world, and when it comes to Hamas, they no longer should belong here, and the hatred that they've spewed on the Israeli people and the Jewish people is not acceptable to the Prime Minister or to President Trump. We need to always remember that. So that was the discussion there, and also giving us an opportunity to get out of this conflict that we have in Gaza is very important.
Madam Secretary, I'm sorry, because I don't want to go into the private conversation, but there is an element of this that has been quite public, and the U.S. is negotiating this deal with Iran, trying to get to some resolution, but the Israelis have made it very clear that they feel like an attack from Iran, or at least them getting the materials for a nuclear weapon, is imminent. And they plan to attack if that is the case. So I don't want you to get into the specifics of the conversation as it relates to the president, the message that you had to deliver. But did you see Israel putting this on pause now, or they still have intentions to attack Iran?
We discussed Iran, and we discussed where Israel's position was, and I also delivered the message on where the president was. And the president will never accept a nuclear-capable Iran. He will never accept them having nuclear weapons and building the capacity to that. The intelligence information that they have and that Israel has and they share with the United States and that we also have and are using for those conversations is critically important. So I think the message to the American people is we have a president that wants peace, but also a president that will not tolerate nuclear Iran capability in the future. They will not be able to get a nuclear weapon, and this president will not allow it. But he also wants to be he wants this Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to be on the same page with him.
Well, what does Israel want? You talked about this conversation with the Prime Minister. What does he want from the Iran deal? What did he tell you about what they would like to see accomplished in the deal?
Well, we talked about the track record with Iran. You can't trust them. We've got 46 years of proof that you can't trust Iran. And Bibi doesn't trust them either. I don't blame him one bit. His people have been devastated by their horrific violence that they have perpetuated among their people. But he also needs America, and he knows he needs America, and he needs our president to be his ally and to work together. We are stronger when we are united, and that this is something we will deal with together. But this conversation needs to be honest, frank, and we need to go forward recognizing that Iran will never have the capability to produce nuclear weapons.
Madam Secretary, real quick before I let you go, because there's this debate about the aid coming into Gaza. And I get it. And I think the Commander-in-Chief made it very clear. He heard from a lot of the folks in the Middle East, some of the kings that he was dealing with, the foreign leaders there, that they want the aid to come through. But there's also still the issue of Hamas taking the aid, and it's not getting directly to the people. So how do we balance wanting to be sympathetic for the cause as it relates to the children that are dying, but still you have a terrorist regime that is still in charge?
Yeah, absolutely. It is that aid many times that is funding Hamas. So we need to trust. We talked about this specifically with Bibi last night. He knows how to get aid into that region to the people who need it without Hamas using it to fund their violence. He is bringing aid in. The people are being told to evacuate. He is dropping leaflets, letting civilians have the chance to leave before they level these areas that Hamas has infiltrated. But if people go in there and offer aid without the kind of intelligence that they are using, they will be fueling more violence. They will be fueling more death. Right. So this Prime Minister clearly understands how Hamas has used that aid to perpetuate their future, and we need to work with him to ensure that the aid is truly helping the people that need the help to get out of a dangerous situation.
Well, Secretary Kristi Noem, we appreciate you joining us this morning from Tel Aviv. Safe travels.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
There you have it, you guys. That was Kristi Noem, Department of Homeland Security Secretary, and she is mentioning that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, that things need to happen and now. And that is exactly what we're hearing is unfolding this week. And as I mentioned, we saw that that meeting take place between the United States and Israel yesterday. And now, today, June 10th, take a look at these articles coming out here. We're getting updated information regarding what was discussed in that meeting. You can see here the headlines. This is a live blog coming out today, June 10th. Trump said to have told Netanyahu to end the Gaza war. And attacking Iran is off limits for now. But right now we're hearing that Trump is saying that he is still trying to do a diplomatic solution, but they have not taken it completely off of the table, that this is something that could be coming here very soon. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. You can see here as we scroll down, the United States, President Donald Trump told Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu during their phone call yesterday that he wants to see an end to the war in Gaza and that attacking Iran's nuclear sites is off limits, reports Channel 12 without naming sources. In an unprecedented message by the president to the premier, Trump told Netanyahu that he expects him to end the war in Gaza, not only to reach a ceasefire and hostage release deal through the Witkoff framework in the ongoing negotiations, but to ensure that the war ends altogether, says the network. Now, they are saying that ending the war will aid negotiations with Iran and Saudi Arabia, the president reportedly said. The understanding is that Washington is prepared to offer Hamas strong guarantees to end the war, adds Channel 12. The reported conversation may explain Netanyahu's statement earlier today that new progress is being made in the hostage negotiations, the network said. Trump also clarified that he has not completed his efforts in the U.S.-Iran nuclear talks, saying despite his disapproval of Iran's latest offer, the door has not closed yet. So right now we are hearing that this is still taking place. He is saying, please do not attack just quite yet. Netanyahu replied that a credible military threat must be kept on Iran at all times, to which Trump again asserted that a strike should be taken off of the table as negotiations continue. According to two sources familiar with the details of the conversations, Netanyahu did not receive a clear answer from Trump as to whether the U.S. would give Israel a green light to act alone or whether Washington would want to participate in or lead a strike if the negotiations with Iran fall through, says the report. So right now we're hearing that this is potentially on the table. The report said there would be no discussions on a military strike until Trump concludes that talks had failed. The Prime Minister's office declined to comment on the details of the conversations, adds Channel 12 News. Wow. So there you have it, you guys. So that is information coming out in the last 24 hours regarding the talks that took place yesterday. As we are hearing that right now, Netanyahu and Trump are discussing ending the war in Gaza and also how to get to some sort of nuclear agreement deal with Iran. And they are saying that he is saying at this time, as negotiations are taking place, Israel, please do not hit Iran just quite yet. Now, let me know your thoughts. A lot of information pouring out in the last 24 hours, and we're hearing it's not done. There's going to be a meeting tomorrow with Israel, and there's going to be a meeting Thursday with the United States and Iran. Do you think that we are going to war? If you think so, put a 3 in the comments. As a lot of people are saying, this would lead to World War III. As you can see, Iran is receiving nuclear materials or missile materials from China. We're also hearing that nuclear facilities are going to be built in Iran from Russia, that they are unifying with adversaries of the United States, and that this would lead to global conflict and escalation. Do you think that we're going that route? If you think we're going to war, drop a 3 for World War III. Now, if you think no, put a 4. Let me know your thoughts. 3, we are going to war. 4, we're going to be able to avoid this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And also, while you're dropping those 3s and 4s, don't forget, take a second. If you haven't done so yet, hit that like button for me. Help spread this out further across the YouTube platform. And if this is your first time here, don't forget, take a quick second, hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell. Whatever unfolds, I'll be sure to share it here on the channel so you know exactly what is going on. And as you guys know, here on the channel, I'm going to put the articles on the screen, read right from them, hyperlink them in the description, cite it just like a book report so you can see the sources, the dates, and you can know and rest assured that this is the latest. Also, all the video footage coming out, I share that with you too, so that way you can see it for yourself. Like I said, if you appreciate that and you want to stay up to date, hit that like button, subscribe, and again, also thank you to today's video sponsor, American Financing. Check them out if you're interested. You can see the number 866-890-7706 or go to americanfinancing.net/Steve Ram. There's the QR code. They help people out that have incurred debt right now, and they can save the average person on their mortgage $800 a month and potentially delay your mortgages for 2 straight months. Give them a call. It's totally free. See if they can help you out. Thank you for providing that to today's audience. That is the latest, you guys. I will keep you up to date on whatever unfolds here. Stay tuned because there's more coming this week with talks, meetings, negotiations. I'll let you know here on the channel. But thank you so much for joining me. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.